I'm just gonna start streaming. I don't know if it's worth it. All right, time rich folks, are you with me? Are you in here? Ba ba da ba da ba ba. All right, stream looks pretty good. Live in 2 hours. Uh-oh. I think we passed the wrong. Yeah, we passed the wrong link. Huh. Okay, super sorry about that. I don't know if anybody is in here, but link did not get updated. Ba ba da ba da ba ba. Okay. Whoopsies. Oh, they don't do that? Okay. Da 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 da. Category. General discussion. All right, how are we doing? Time rich live Q&A. If I click on this, do I see my face? I do. Awesome. All right, thank goodness. Whoopsies. I gotta go back in here. Okay. Ba, ba, ba. All right. How are we looking? All right, is anybody here? Chat. One's in the chat if you are in the room right now. Man, how does school not have their own live streaming platform? So surprised. Da 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 da. do. Analytics, stream. Like stream is good. We have one concurrent viewer in here. Really hoping people figure out that it's not the other stream, but we shall see. We shall see. Yeah. All right, time rich folks. Where are you? Oh, I gotta pin this. That's probably what I need to do. Pin to feed. All right, we're gonna hide this. We're gonna pin this dude. All right. Let's unhide from feed, and then I need to unpin this probably. Yep, that did it. And then we will pin this. All right, 3 concurrent viewers. Let's go. People, are you in here? Are you with me? One's in the chat if you are currently conscious. Your brain is on. One's in the chat. Let's go, Zach. Is anybody else here? All right, praying that people are seeing this pin post. We shall see. We shall see. All right, Zach, while you're here, why don't you go ahead and just ask away. You got any questions? Anything going on in your life? What's happening? You enjoying the community? Minus the little kerfuffle we had to endure to get here? Have you used any of the automations? Do you have you found any of these particularly useful? Are you lost? What's going on? Let me know. Still reading up and learning? Okay, okay. How do you feel about the platform itself? Do you find that the platform is informative? Are you struggling to wrap your head around this? Are you familiar with Make? Have you used Make before? Is this a platform that you find intuitive? Did I already ask that? Okay. So you've used Zapier before, and you're just trying to figure out Make. So they're pretty similar platforms. We'll try and go through some of the different nuances here in a second. Brian Feldman, starting to work through learning lead gen tools. Yeah, so the lead gen automation is a little cumbersome, I will say. Automated outreach and engagement. Nice. We're doing something very similar here in late checkout, which is the parent company of Robot. I can walk through that in a little bit. So same as Brian. Okay. So it looks like lead gen. Looks like lead gen is a big thing for y'all. Okay. Good to know. So same boat as Brian. All right, so in that case, why don't I just go over like what we're doing and what the overall thought was. So here is the I called them mags because we didn't know what to call them in the beginning. But these are the automation templates that we've made. So basically, if you want to do automated lead gen and then do automated outreach, you're going to want to combine a couple of things here. So I think this is going to be the first one, the LinkedIn scraper, to then puts that in your CRM, which then puts that into your enrichment flow, which is this Apollo node right here. So the way this works is that in the sales nav template, which I should probably pull up, time rich templates. So in the sales nav contact template, which is not the correct one, but this one is. Did you make the layout for Upwork with Nix or I have? Oh, no, this lead gen template is something that I designed myself. I'm not really sure what the Nix RIF lead gen template looks like. I don't think I've seen any of his lead gen content posts. This is just something that through like internal discussions at late checkout, we realized we needed. And so it's just something that we built. Anyways, the way this works is that it's going to watch Airtable. So the first node is always the trigger. So it's like when something happens in real life, do something. And in this case, anytime a new value appears here in the sales nav search URL template, which I think is defined, should be defined here, sales nav template. Yeah, search URL template. So anything that happens in here gets sent in. So in this case, this is a LinkedIn sales nav custom search link that I've created that basically finds everyone with the name Alex who works at Amazon, right? So you're going to get like a bajillion people. We got like 2,500 results. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to take that URL, take that page number. It's going to create a JSON object. The reason it's doing this is because the endpoint that we're using requires this information. So we're doing a custom request to our, I guess, data supplier in this case, where we're passing that JSON string in. That's going to give us a big list of all of the people. In this case, it's going to be everyone named Alex, so up to 2,500 people. And then for each one of those individuals, we're going to create another JSON object that's got those values in here, which then passes it to Apollo. And then once Apollo gets a hold of that information, Apollo will do that digging for you. So it'll find their email, links to their LinkedIn, other like contact details that you'll need. And then once it finds all that information, it's just going into Airtable here. Now, this particular automation is not free. So there are two services you need, Apollo and the LinkedIn data scraper endpoint, which I think I have a link to it in TimeRich, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So this LinkedIn data scraper is basically what we're going to use to fetch all of these contacts. And then using some of that data from these contacts, we're then going to pass it into Apollo to get the actual contact information. So it's a two-step sequence process that helps us go from a sales nav search, like the one you see here, to a giant list of, I'm just going to show you an actual one that we have. Whoopsies. To a giant list of contacts like so. So this is the one we use internally. We've got their email, we have their title, we know their name. We have something here to help us track whether or not we've reached out. Tracks the last time we've contacted them. We have their LinkedIn, we have their phone number. They also have, are they likely to engage, which is a property of Apollo. It's one of their features. And then we also have the email that they're, that's associated, or sorry, the domain that's associated with their name, their identity. Yeah, and then there's also like, you can, this is a simplified version. So we can collect quite a bit more data. For example, with this one, we were able to capture like certain keywords they had, their company address. We're targeting people in the UK. We have an SEO description of them. We know their funding amounts. We know when they raised funds, annual revenue. There's tons of stuff that Apollo can collect and help you validate how good that lead is. But at the moment, this automation does require a lot of setup that I cannot do on your behalf. And then once you essentially connect your accounts, then you can just hit run on this and it'll just work. So that's the lead gen robot. Does anybody else have any other questions? In the meantime, I'm gonna check up on this. Cool, one concurrent viewer. All right, to my one concurrent viewer, are you here? Are you listening? Have I answered any of your questions? Is there a way for me to talk instead of type since I'm here alone? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Brian. You guys are also here. Sweet. Yeah, at the moment, there is no way for us to have guests on the live stream. That could be something that comes later on. I think that's kind of a technical issue that I just don't have a solution to currently. Also, like, I'm expecting there to be more members in the community, so it's possible that it just gets too hectic. We'll see. We'll see. But that's the current state of the LinkedIn automation, the lead gen automation. There's quite a bit you can do with it. It is a bit involved. Okay. Zach, one of my lead gen goals is to create a list of every brewery in America. Is the setup you just described the best way for that, or is there a simpler way? That's a really good question. Okay, so if you're trying to contact every brewery in America, like LinkedIn, you know what? Let's just see if we can do this live. So if we remove current company from there, and let's say like let's say, I wonder if there's a way to filter through like account description. So if people are saying like, oh, head of brewery, actually, what if I just said brewery? So this is I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce that. Yeah, it looks like if I type brewery, it does give me people who work at beer companies. So Boston Beer Company, Rebel Convenience Store, Rheingeist Brewery, Code Brewery. That's probably not the type of brewery you're looking for. Masan Brewery. This is a realty group. That doesn't seem correct. Okay, Brian, scrape Yelp or Foursquare. I use Instant Data Scraper, Chrome add-in, icon as a Pokeball. You can either do infinite scrape or select the next button. Okay, Zach, I think what you're looking for, and it's not an automation that we have yet, is you're probably looking for like a social media scraper. So Rapid API is really cool. If you guys aren't familiar, this is like a great place to like begin your automation development. So like I know Instagram has a scraper, and Instagram scrapers are cool because you can search by, I believe you can just search by hashtags. So if you know that the hashtag of your ideal customer is like brewery, uh, and you can maybe subscribe to test. Okay, just kidding. Well, I guess I can just do the free plan. All right. Yeah, you know that if you're in here and you scrape by hashtag and oh my goodness, please let me test the endpoint. Okay. One more time. We're passing brewery into our endpoint. We run it. We got a client error. I wonder why that is. All right, let's just use their sample here. One sec, guys. Let me get through this real quick. It looks like if you're searching hashtag, you can get accounts. It looks like you can get their, or sorry, you can get their post, which then allows you to get their account. You can get their name. I'm sure the user is in here somewhere. Yeah, okay. So you get the user ID. You can get this. You can use that to find their handle. Well, actually, their handle's right there. DJ Sveta. And then you can essentially create a big list. And you can probably find things like, yeah, their info and contact. It looks like they're if they have a phone number, you can pull that. I'm sure if they had an email, that would exist there too. Let's see. But you know, you can get a lot of their contact info. Yeah, Mr. Beast. You can get their contact info from this API. So essentially from this one API, or sorry, yeah, from this one API, you can pull their hashtag. From the hashtag, you can get their username. From their username, you can pull their contacts. And then you can just run a script under every single hashtag, or every single user under a hashtag pull their contact info, put it into Airtable, and then run whatever you want from there. Do you have a sales team somewhere you can pass that list to? Amazing. Do you want to automatically send them emails if they specified an email? You can do that. Options here are endless. But what I wanted to make clear was that you can do quite a bit with the Instagram API. And there are a lot of third-party APIs out here that will do quite a bit for you. Oh, and the reason I bring this up is because this is what you want to be doing if you're trying to find breweries in America. Like that's kind of that was the purpose. Because Sales Nav is not going to be your go-to. Okay. Let me catch up on chat. Plug those websites into an Airtable and we test an automated outreach. Yep. Instead of LinkedIn Navigator, what about directly in Apollo or Zoom Info? I don't know about Zoom Info. Apollo is, I guess it could work for Apollo. I'm only really curious about, or the only things I really know about Apollo are its lead enrichment step. Okay. You guys are overwhelming me in the chat, and there's just 2 of you. Imagine if there was like 15 people in here, I'd be cooked. It would not be good. So I'm glad it's just the 2 of you. All right, if you pull the business name from Yelp, Foursquare, you should be able to pull the contacts from Apollo, Zoom Info based on the company website plus location. Yes, this is correct. And then, okay, IDT breweries have too many remote employees, LOL. Yeah, I can see that being a problem. So to confirm, hashtag to username to brand name, then use Apollo to enrich for email and address. Yes, that's correct. This does kind of sound like another automation idea that I can create. I'm not sure if late checkout as an organization has much use for this, but I think me personally, I think I could definitely use this too. Yeah, you're totally welcome. Happy to be a resource for you guys. Okay, what's going on in Time Rich? Are people here? All right, cool. Anything else I can help you guys with, like while we're here? Oh, you know what? I was, I did bring up that like lead gen thing we were doing on our end here in late checkout. So let me see if I can show you what it looks like for us. I believe I did some, oops, that's definitely not it. Yeah, it's probably this Apollo. Outside of Airtable, Make, and Notion. Well, I write my own code, so that has been super helpful for me. Because so like these no-code platforms, they really get you on automations that require a lot of repetitive, high volume steps. So especially with something like this, where you're like going through maybe thousands of people to like make sure they fit your criteria, that adds up, right? Because every time that runs, that costs you money. So in this case, like I've got this automation right here. This is what we use internally. It looks a little bit different because all the other stuff is kind of already built out. This is just like an end piece. So basically, we're passing in a list of people, and then we're doing a filter for people with specific titles. If we find people with those titles, then we make an API call to enrich that data, and then we pass that into Airtable. And I write my own code with the iterator. I can't see in the iterator. No, the iterator is kind of like a loop. So the iterator doesn't really do much for you. How do I describe this? Iterator, so like, let me just show you what iterator is. So an iterator takes in an array, and an array is just like a list. So what it'll do is it'll look at each item in that array and it'll pass that to the rest of this code or the rest of this automation. So it'll be like item 1, Joe. Okay, we know Joe is we know his name is Joe and he works at Amazon. Let's get his info. Okay, cool, found his info. Let's create a contact and put him in the outreach list, and then let's update the record to reflect that we have put him in there. And then now that's it for Joe. Let's go for someone else, maybe Jill. So we have Jill. Let's enrich her. Let's put her in the list, and then let's update that record. Do you see, like, for each person in this array, I'm running maybe three other operations. So if you have 1,000 people in this iterator or 1,000 people in your array, that's 3,000 operations you got to pay for. And you can consider like an operation, or sorry, every 1,000 operations is like $1. So you'd be paying $3 to run it over 1,000 people. If I write my own code, I'm probably paying like less than a penny to do that same function. So the trade-off here is time. I can write the code that will save me a lot of money, but it costs me a lot of time. Less and less these days because of like ChatGPT. But the point is, what Make is really good at doing is helping you prototype. And then for those super operation heavy processes, it's really good for then taking it and then turning this like super lengthy thing into like one node. It'll just be like one API call to my server. My server does all the heavy lifting and then spits out the like finished product, essentially. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I kind of just ranted there. Okay. I'm going to move on. Would love to talk about some of the other stuff that we've been doing. It's funny, all of like the most used automations are the simplest. What is the 30-second explanation of iterator? Okay. Let's go back to that automation. Whoops, this is the wrong one. You know what? Actually, let's see if I can excalidraw this. All right, so we have a list here. Whoopsies. And lists in programming are called arrays. You don't have to know that. It'll help if you do. But just for now, think of it as a list. I'm going to blow this up. Okay. So an iterator, what an iterator does is, like, let's say we have big, complicated process with multiple steps. We want to go through each item in our list and plug it into big, complicated process with multiple steps. Right? This is our goal. So what an iterator does, instead of like having to run this, how do I explain this? Sometimes the payload you get from your API calls are big, which saves you time and energy because you don't have to get it one by one. Rather than making 1,000 API calls to get 1,000 fields, you can make one API call to get 1,000 fields. And what ends up happening is you get an array. So what an iterator does is it basically says, for each item, send item details into big complicated process. Now, how does an iterator do that? Well, you have to make sure you're sending the iterator a list. So in this case, you'll see here that inside of the iterator, it wants an array type. It's saying, give me a list of stuff. I don't care what it is, just I need it in a list form. And we know that this API call produces a list. We just know that. And so what'll happen is once the API finishes, it returns our list, we send that list into iterator. And then, like I said before, iterator goes through, this is the big complicated process. Iterator goes through and it says, okay, item one, we have that, we know what that is. Let's send item one into big complicated process with multiple steps. And then that just repeats. That's what an iterator does. It is going to be your most expensive module to run by far. And you want to have as few of these as possible in your automations. And if you're finding that this is becoming a bottleneck for profitability, that's when you need to get in touch with me. Because the reason people write code and not just use this for everything is because this module will increase your costs by, I think, like literally like 1,000x. It's insane. So that's what an iterator is. That's why you want to avoid them if possible. But for prototyping, to make sure that the thing you're building is actually worth building, they're great. And for like low volume. Perfect. Very helpful. Thanks for talking through that. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Brian, what's going on? You good? Nothing from you? Okay. All right, let me see if there's other things I can show you guys. Oh, actually, let me just finish that thought I was having earlier, where I was thinking like some of our simplest automations, or sorry, some of our most used automations are the simplest. Like this one's hilarious. It's literally 2 steps and it's one of our most used. It's just when something appears in our Notion, send a message to our Slack that like has all the details. So it'll be like, oh, look, a new form has been submitted. What are the fields of that form that the person who submitted the form say? I don't even know if that was English. Yeah, we can just pass all of the stuff in the form into Slack so that we don't even have to check Notion. We're just like, okay, do we need to take action on this new form or not? Super useful automation for us. Pretty cool. Zach, can you walk through another common automation? Yes. I think I just did that, which is I think what you were asking for. Oh, one more automation that I should probably talk about is our VC outreach drafter. So on the terms of automated outreach, I think both of you would be interested in this. Is one of the ways that we've extended our Airtable automation. So like, I think it's specifically for our Hodge contacts. We know we have all their emails. And what's interesting is we create an automation that basically says, okay, anytime there's like a new contact in here, if there hasn't been a draft yet made, create a draft. That's, just some sales copy here, and plug in some values like we know what their LinkedIn is, we know what website is associated with them, and we know their first name. And this stuff up here is just for our sales rep to review before sending the message. So it'll be like, oh, this is their LinkedIn URL, click it, go see what they're like. This is their domain, click it, go see what they're like. And then this is their name. And then they don't have to really do anything there. So it creates a draft. It puts it in their draft folder in Gmail. And then it updates the record, hey, a draft has been made. You're good. So that if you're one of our sales reps, all you're doing in the morning is you wake up, you open Gmail, you go to your drafts folder, you review all the drafts you have to send. All the information that you need is basically there, so you can just click around, verify the message is good, and then hit send. And I think we use this one like 1,700 times. So it's pumped out. Let me see the actual number. Yeah, 1,700. So we've pumped out 1,700 email drafts just in that automation one. I think that is our most used automation. Okay, let me catch up with these comments. Have you used no/low code to build and retrain RAG applications or just code? Okay, RAG is a whole different beast altogether. There is always room for no code, low code tools in RAG, but these are like going to be either in your beginning stages or your end stages. So like, let's say you have a RAG application that looks over a lot of internal documents and answers queries for like price quotes. You can use make to send that first request. So let's say you have a website in like Framer, and you need to take that request and you need to push all that form info into your RAG app. So like, let's say you have a vector database with all of your files in there, and then you can use make to send that information to your RAG application. And then when your RAG application is done, it can push all that information to a webhook, which you can also create in make, and then have that webhook with that information do whatever you want. So make a Slack notification, put it in your CRM, all that stuff. Because working with CRMs in code is really tedious and it sucks, but working with it in low code, no code applications is actually really good. I feel like the developer experience is really solid. It's really fast. So to answer your question, yes, and it depends. But have I personally used it? No. All right, we got 3 concurrent viewers in here. So if you are not Zach or Brian, reveal yourself. Say hi in the chat. One's in the chat if you're not Brian or Zach. Oh, they left. Okay, well, it is what it is. You're hopping? All right. See you later, Brian. Thanks for coming. Oh, we have 3 concurrent viewers in here. All right, folks. What's going on in your lives? Before end, any other common mistakes people make when creating automations? Common mistakes is tough. I don't know that I have like a frequently made mistakes list that I can think of. I think with automations, this is really like a blank canvas problem where I think maybe the most, okay, let me say this. Maybe the most common mistake people make is trying to build an automation too early. Because you don't really know what it is that you need. And so oftentimes you're creating something that is either really fragile, so it'll break easily, or it actually doesn't fit the exact use case that you need. Uh, so like one of the hardest things to deal with, especially if I'm building stuff for other people, is trying to create something that I don't have to work that hard to maintain. And that involves getting very clear on what the process is, end to end, what the goals of the automation are, and then having to think sort of outside of what is being communicated to me. So if they're saying like, hey, we want to contact like a bajillion people, I have to think like, okay, contacting a bajillion people is doable, but like, are they prepared to pay the cost for doing that? And then I have to think like, okay, like I could build it in Make, but that'll like make this whole system financially unfeasible. So I would say just getting very clear on what it is you're trying to build, and then from there you can split it up into smaller tasks, and then that just makes the whole thing easier to deal with. Okay. This is the right link, yeah? Yeah, that's the right link. Ba, ba, ba. Thanks for asking, Zach. You know, I could probably take that clip and post it as stream as community content. Might do that. We'll see. Okay. I know we got other concurrent viewers in here. Appreciate your time and expertise. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for engaging with me. All right, is anyone else in here? For all the lurkers in here, I suppose. What's going on? Why you just lurking? You got questions? You want advice? I'm here for you. You can think of this like office hours. You want help on your exact use case? I got you. But you gotta comment. You gotta write in chat. You gotta let me know. Or send me a DM. DMs are open. Andrew, are you in here? I see you online. Mikey? Where you guys at? What's going on? We got 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Zach, it does not appear as though anyone else is chiming in. I think I'm all yours. What do you got going on? Any other lead gen related automations that people use or automations that help after the lead has been generated? Definitely a lot of automations uh, you can implement after the lead has been generated. That's probably the biggest one. Um, right, the email drafter was a good example. There's like, oh my God, there's like some crazy stuff people are doing. So Vappy, yeah, Vappy. I don't know if they have an API. Actually, you know what? They probably do. Let's see. Vappy API. Actually, they absolutely do. They're literally a voice AI for developers. So this is probably pretty insane. I am probably going to build something with it at some point. But basically, what Vappy allows you to do, let me just stop jumping around. What Vappy allows you to do is you can give it a lot of context. So you can say like, I'm in the sales department for this company. We provide this service, and it will essentially take your context, call people, and deliver, not canned, but like it will respond to people's questions live. So let me see if I can turn my desktop audio on. See if this works.
Welcome to Battery. I'm an assistant who can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
It's hard to hear. Yeah, day's going. Okay, wait.
Let me know if there's anything I can.
Okay.
What can I help you with today?
Trying to get this desktop audio to work. Device, default. Oh, here we go.
Ah, the classic struggle with technology. It can be a real pain sometimes, can't it?
Hey, Vappy. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in my sales process for this live stream. What do you know about that, and can you help me?
I can definitely help with that. I can provide information on sales processes and tips for live streaming. Just let me know what specific questions you have, and I'll do my best to assist you.
Okay, I hope that was like somewhat of a okay demo. It honestly not the best, but basically like you can prompt the Vappy API, and with enough context, it will reach out on your behalf to other people, live human beings, and sort of do a sales pitch for you. So it'll call people, maybe like, let's say, based on stuff you have in your Airtable, right? Because all it needs is a phone number. And it will ring them up. If they pick up, they will deliver a first message, which might be canned. I'm really not sure. Or not. I don't know. And it will respond to them. It will react to them live. So the first message might be like, hey, this is Jill calling from, Brewery SaaS Consulting. I don't know. Excuse me. I just wanted to see if you had a quick second today to talk about this new product we're trying to offer brewery owners around something that can, streamline your operations. And they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, that sounds really good, but I don't really know too much about that. Like, can you tell me some more info?" And then when it says that, when someone on the other line says that, it'll prompt whatever you've got, like all the context that you have. And so maybe in there it's like, okay, here's a description of like what our SaaS does. We digitize all of their processes. We record every single transaction they have. We lower costs for POS services, whatever, whatever you want. And then Vappy will query that context and it'll come up with the response based on your context. And then it will literally say it back to the human. It'll be like, oh yeah, we do this and this and this, and our impact is this and this and this. And so without you even having to do anything, it'll just literally make cold calls for you. One of the cooler new applications out there that I have been meaning to build, but honestly, we have been so slammed, I just have had no time. Yeah, sure is. I think what's cool about Airtable is such a like it's a literal launchpad, I think, for other automations. Automations require data to be good, and Airtable's a good way for being like a central hub for that data. And their API supports so like good enough. It's not perfect, but it's good enough that you can definitely create some really powerful automations with it. And the rest is just knowing what tools exist, knowing how to work with the tools, and then again being really clear about what it is you want to do with those tools. So the worst thing to build would be something that uses Vappy, but like if you don't even like have context for this written out and you're just blasting a cold, like if your context was like be a sales agent for my like SaaS business, it just wouldn't work because people would ask like, "Oh, what do you do?" And you'd be like, "I don't really know." And that wouldn't be that I don't think would be very effective. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left, and then I truly have to go after that. So if you have any last questions, now is the time. You're good to go? Okay. Awesome, man. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the first stream. I know it was kind of hectic getting the links all lined up. So sorry if that affected you. Seems like you made it. So awesome. But yeah, hope to see you the next one. See you later. I think that's going to be